It's been a long playoffs. It's been a long playoffs, but the glasses are back.
They're back.
Almost
They're
a sweet
hot.
coin flip. Could have had the sweet bud, but
I
the
agree.
boys didn't pull it off.
No, they didn't.
What are you gonna do?
Shame.
How'd you like that game? Are we gonna just see a couple of low scoring series going forward, or what?
Hey, if you like offense, tough series to sort of project that we're going to see it. You got we got four very talented rosters, but also four teams that understand how hard it is to play at this time of year because they check, they hit, they play defense. We're seeing good goaltending. That's the price you pay to win a championship, man.
And we're seeing like what we usually see in game script. I mean, the Rangers in negative game script got their shots off in the third period, right? Mm-hmm. They did. They got 12 in the first period. That's it. Florida shut them down. But then we saw last night how good defensively Edmonton is. With Dallas trailing, they were getting nothing on net. Like usually you kind of tilted a bit, but no, like just because you're leading doesn't mean you're going to get shots on. And teams are kind of really throttling down. But as we get to today's game, Florida obviously up 1-0 in the series after the 3-0 win. All odds today coming via Sports Interaction, looking at the live line, seeing Panthers -115 favorites. A big change, obviously, in the total to the under. It was -110 aside on the 5.5 line. Mm-hmm. Game one. Now it's moved to -130. Seen the first period under go from like -115 now down to -130. Talk to me about this before we get into the plays. Adversity is a big thing. We've seen it with the Stars, what it does for you within the playoffs and how it builds situations that you know as a team that you can overcome, right? You deal with it all through the season. You go up and down. You figure it out. The Rangers have led every game so far in the series, like in the playoffs. Is this a situation that we should be concerned that they're kind of in waters that they haven't really had to face yet, and it's not an easy thing to overcome versus Florida?
Yeah, and what you're saying by leading, they've led the series. They've led.
Oh, sorry, they haven't trailed. Like they don't. Yeah.
So we're gonna find out what they're all about, right? I mean, this is where you find out, what identity your team wants to represent. Normally, at this stage, any team that gets to this stage would have at least experienced trailing at one point, like Edmonton did in their like Florida did in their series against Boston, where they handled Tampa pretty good, but then game one against Boston they lose. Game two against Boston scores the first goal in that game. You're thinking, whoa, what's going on here? But then Florida turned it on. And so I think the adversity that the Rangers have felt so far is the pressures of winning a game, even though they were up, because in game 6 against Carolina, down 3-1 in Carolina, they were staring at a potential game 7 in their building after being up 3-0 in this series, and you saw how they responded. So that's a first true test of adversity, but this is the real first test of adversity where they can't think that by losing this game, they would have a chance to win this series against this Florida Panthers team down 2-0. So
you don't want to play Florida playing a little scared, like at all.
At all.
No,
because what Florida does is they make you play uncomfortable, right? And if you have to play even more uncomfortable, knowing you're down 2-0 in a series, can't like your chances.
All right, let's be open and honest. I have not played professional sports. I don't think that's shocking.
Really?
Anybody. I know.
You're a professional softball player. What do you mean?
Oh, I know. I've given up on it to be a coach these days. But now, like football, like you see guys on the other side. You're like, as I was a quarterback, like you were scared. Like playing scared is legit. Were you ever in your life like professionally, or just being like scared of like who was on the other side, like from junior up or anything, like, or do you kind of have to shut that out to be
no,
successful?
I can honestly say I've never played scared. And I think one of the things I used to always say is you play hockey your whole way, at least I did, and the game's changed. It's changed dramatically. But when I played growing up, you didn't really focus too much about information. You just went out, you played the game. You played the game because your coach wanted you to play a certain way, and that's what you would try to go out and execute. When I got to the NHL and I was entering NHL locker rooms, the minute you get in there before a game, there's lineups on the board, there's player information everywhere. It almost seemed like it was too much information. And I felt like when I knew all that, I would think a lot more than I wanted to or needed.
More thinking than reacting.
Yeah. So like, look, and even throughout my career, like I would never read the stat sheets. I would just see the lineup and sort of do my studying based on what that is. But the minute you start focusing on the players that are playing on the other team instead of focusing on the playing that you need to play with, now your mind's in a million different places. So I'm not the type where I worry too much about who's playing on the other team. At the end of the day, you still got to go out and play the game. Yeah, you want to have a little bit more recognition of who's on the ice, when they're on the ice, where they're on the ice. But aside from that, you shouldn't be scared to play anybody. If anything, you should just have more recognition of who those guys are and when they're on the ice.
All right, I'll put that in my my team chat with the kids baseball team. I'll fire them up with that. Insight, little MDHL AAA. Hey, we'll take that insight.
Yeah, but here's another way to look at it, right? How can you describe the success that teams have when they're missing some of their best players in the lineup?
True.
Right? Well, if you spend too much time, like you come into a match and you're like, well, this guy's not playing. Well, that guy's not playing. Well, that team that has those guys not playing isn't necessarily focused on those guys not playing because they got to still go out and play. And that's what would make you probably, bring a little bit of a lesser effort to the game. So.
All right. Nick Newport Jr. in the chat says, thanks for bringing me back into hockey 100%.
Hey,
thanks for sticking around, Nick. Nick is in every chat. He's here.
We do our best.
He's in baseball. He's on Before You Bet. So appreciate that. Appreciate everybody there. And Caleb Dewey, before we get to the picks, Blue Blocker Boys. I like it. Do you remember that commercial?
No.
What? You don't remember Blue Blockers?
No.
Oh, the rap? That guy's rap and Blue Blockers? Oh, you got to watch it. You want to see like late 80s, early 90s nostalgia commercial? Go check out Blue Blockers. Okay. Just some man throwing glasses like these on people's faces. All right, let's get to it. This is my new favorite bet. I'll probably be betting it. I'm not going to get it at plus 125 like we did yesterday, which was bananas. Neither team to score 4 goals. Okay, it's under race to goals. Neither. That's what it is. A lot of the markets are both teams to score 2 goals, both teams to score 3 goals, but they don't have the 4. But race to 4, neither. Minus 115. Amazing that the 125 the other day was insane, and we won't get that again. As that total will come down, that it was at 6.5. But here we are. Why not expect the same game script? That's what you texted me when I asked you if you liked. Is there any reason not to? No, because if there's one team that can dictate the pace of play and a continuous game script, it's Florida.
Florida, yeah.
Yep. The better defensive team is on the road, which I always like. Leads to more defensive hockey. The under 5.5 has moved from minus 110 to minus 125, which is significant. And Florida can keep the Rangers' shots low. For forwards, they had 14 block shots in game 1. Their forward groups had 14 block shots. That is insane. I don't think I've ever seen a block shot performance from a forward group like that. Everyone's committed. Everybody's in. And the New York strength power play, 0 for 2. Florida is absolutely disciplined. There's just no chances when games mean this much. You know what I mean? Like sitting on a 3-1 lead, you sit on a 3-1 lead.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. For Florida, like think about what the game script is for them. Guys, we can go out and just win a dirty road hockey game and come out with a stranglehold in this series. We don't need to do anything flashy. We don't need to play out of our structure. We don't need to score a pretty goal because we have a 1-0 lead and we'll just try to come out of here ugly. All the pressure right now is on the Rangers. So Florida, you know how to play this type of game. You're comfortable playing this type of game. So I don't see why things would change much. And if you're the Rangers, like, think about their mentality. They know they need to win, but there's also a feeling of playing not to lose. And when you play not to lose, you're a little bit tentative with the way you play and how aggressive you want to be, even though you know you need to be a little bit more aggressive, but you don't want to be too aggressive because you don't want to expose yourself to that mistake that ends up in the back of your net. So this is one of those games, again, where I think the first goal is going to be huge, right? It's going to be huge in this game. And so if you're the Rangers, you got to find a way to get it. And if you're Florida, you're going to try to drag this game out as long as you can to make New York feel a lot more uncomfortable knowing what could potentially happen.
No, as you say, obviously first goal is huge. Trying to bring up if anybody's looking around and has a better look than me, try to find the odds for first team to score first goal wins. Minus 250. That would be my guess, but I could be wrong, like I usually am. All right, neither team to score 4. Here comes the correlated everything. We were on Verhaeghe.
Yeah.
Right? Obviously got the assist. You see his line mate score the first goal, you're like, please don't.
Yeah.
Because the goal
he gets
comes up first.
Second assist.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah, thank you so much. But I don't feel bad about the Verhaeghe plus money play when basically they scored 1 goal plus an empty netter and had an own goal, right? Like the idea was there wasn't going to score much. And I'm going to the Barkov line this time. I hate flipping because I know if Reinhart points here and Verhaeghe doesn't, I'm going to kick myself in the groin.
Yeah.
But under 0.5 points plus 140. The big switch for me on this is the Barkov line's defensive matchups and their responsibilities. That Barkov line is the defensive structure. That Barkov line had 7 shifts starting the D zone compared to 4 in the offensive zone, which shows me what they want to do with them on the matchup. And as you said, they're not coming out to punch the Rangers in the face in game 2. They're going to play their structure game. They're going to play defensively. And I mean, that line, I mean, they won the Corsi battle, but they're also their number one responsibility is keep things tight and keep the boys off the score sheet. So I think that goes to Reinhart, who doesn't get as many touches on the power play if they do get it. So I like that. Can you see, like, if you're picking anybody, Barkov for similar prices, Barkov, Reinhart, Tkachuk, or Verhaeghe, anything off the top of your head to me that, like, to you that says, I want that one more than the other one, really? Yeah, no. It's kind of
I like the Reinhart one because of how you just explained it. I think there's more of a defensive responsibility for that line led by Barkov that might take away some of the offensive approach that Sam Reinhart would probably normally feel, where I know he's still a threat on the power play, but Florida's power play hasn't been rolling as of late either. But considering they're going to get a lot of the defensive responsibilities in a game where you expect the Rangers to have a bounce back, I would go with that over the Reinhart, over the Verhaeghe one for sure.
And without getting last change, like, you don't get cute in the defensive zone. You're just like, no, you go over the boards, whatever. I don't care what the matchup is. Just get the best boys over the boards defensively. So it's Reinhart under 0.5 points, plus 140. That's where I'm kind of fading the Florida offense and more fading of offensive in this game. Yeah. Next play.
And Reinhart only has, 1 point in his last 4 games.
Yeah, he scored a kabillion goals this year, but he wasn't a heavy shooter. You wanted him on the under shots if it wasn't so priced out in game 1. He's kind of an overvalued guy. Like, I get it, that was a career, like a contract year, but he's more of a less than a point per game guy coming into the season before he's getting paid stacks. All right, let's keep going. This is a new market I haven't hit on the under, at least. Panarin under 0.5 assists, even money. This is about as good as you can get this market for assists. You're not paying any tax. And the Rangers will be lucky to get more than 2 goals in this game. He's also and the other thing, which was kind of like why we went Reinhart on the defensive side of things, Panarin is not getting cute. Panarin has to lead this offense too, and Panarin's a guy who can bury. He was tied for the team high in shots on goal with 3, tied for the team high in shot attempts yesterday or in game 1 with 7. So he is shooting too, and he's 7-4 to the under on this prop so far in the playoffs, despite 7 assists in 11 games. So his assists have kind of been clumped together in single games, in high-scoring games, and that's kind of not what we're projecting here. Anytime you can get anybody under 0.5 assists at even money in a game we're projecting neither team to score 4 goals, kind of makes sense to hit, no?
Yeah. I mean, he's had his struggles too. You worry about that second assist on a power play if they get an extra power plays today, but the threat of him being impactful offensively 5-on-5 doesn't really concern me as much because he's going to be getting that Barkov matchup, right?
Yeah. This is Valley says, value on Laffy after scoring on the wrong team. I have not seen an own goal. Like I think the league and the scorekeeping has been quite shitty on what they've been giving own goals for. And basically an own goal is just like sometimes they won't call it an own goal. It's just like an unassisted goal.
Right.
You're like, come on. But no, that was about as bad as it gets, that breakdown, especially with all the pressure. But I was looking at Laffy stuff, but I don't know if his markets exist today, which I was looking for because I did want to see if I could get maybe his shots over. Yeah, I'm not seeing Barkov, Panarin, Bennett, Lundell, Forsling, Verhaeghe, Fox, Rodriguez, Kachuk, Trocheck.
There's no market out on him yet?
No, like that's what I didn't see a market. I'm like, did I miss something? Is he injured? I don't think so. So, I don't know. It's just so tough. It's just so tough to get shots versus Florida.
Yeah,
it really
bruised ego. That's why he's questionable.
Oh, like is he? Do you think he's motivated more today? Like his playoffs have been great.
It has been for sure.
There's your angle. Like,
yeah.
He's coming out shooting. I got to do it for the boys.
Yeah, gotta get it back. I score on the other net, not mine.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, dash. Let's go. Panarin under 0.5 assists, even money. One more play here. Like, I don't know. Like, if you're betting any Adam Fox over points, you've been losing money. It's been juice, and now it's going the other way. Adam Fox under 0.5 points, minus 110. He's been pointless in 5 straight games since it's kind of mattered in Carolina when things have tightened up and it wasn't a full series versus Washington, right? And early Carolina, he hasn't really done anything. He's 4 points in 11 games so far in the postseason. He has just 2 5-on-5 points. And I've been on Adam Fox points, and you're like, yes, this power play is scoring. He doesn't get as many touches as you would think or is involved in the scoring as much on the power play as one would think when that power play is hot. And as we get to it, Florida's penalty kill 0-for-2. They look structured. They're not taking penalties, and they know that that's not something they want to do to get them in the series.
I'm just looking at his game log right now, and it's not very impressive.
No, like he's gone under the radar. It's like one of the best defensemen in all of hockey to where's Adam Fox?
He's pointless in 5 straight games. He only has 4 points. He went 2 games in that Washington series without a point.
He's -1 in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's not a great resume that he's showcasing right now in the playoffs. So again, here's another thing we talk about, like in a game where we don't expect much offense and a guy who's struggling and hasn't been able to put up points. That's a great one. Now, is it points that you put up or assists?
Straight points.
Straight points. Wow.
Yeah, the assists I would imagine is about -130-ish. But yeah. Tuner Carr says last night they had Robertson shots on goal at 3 and they took it away. I don't want to talk
hate
about
this so much, man. It's one of my
They
biggest
took
pet
2
peeves of
shots
betting
away.
hockey. Huh?
They took 2 of his shots away.
Yeah, like how do you do that? Like who's correcting this stuff?
Bro, I've reached out like I'm like, I got this great idea for like a 5-part series, and then that was how I was going to start it.
Yeah.
Who's scoring these shots?
Like how do you add that thinking that at the time it was a shot, but then you go back and you're like, no, wasn't a shot.
All I want to know is the process. And the NHL won't let me know the process. I've reached out to their PR, haven't heard anything back. They don't want to talk about it. Like, is it old 74-old Janine who's been in the league for 50 years, who's behind the glass with a clipboard, or is it done by the boys upstairs? Like, we need ideas. And what I've gotten from it is, I think it's scorekeepers at games.
Yeah.
And they're similar. So there is
they have to find a way to fix it. Because it's a joke how you're watching the game, you celebrate as the stat goes in your favor, and then afterwards you get just a low blow kick in the you-know-whats, and you're like, nope, I'm not going to give it to you. It's almost like they're doing it, and then they go back and look at the market and say, oh, we have way too much money on this. We got to make sure.
Oh, he's speculating. Oh,
you know what I mean?
I get it. Like, in their defense, it's a fast game. It's tough to see if those shots get through and situations like that. But
it's not. If it's my job to keep count and watch the shots on goal, I could do it with one eye open and determine what a shot on goal is.
Inside says they watch the video after the game to make corrections. Correct. But the books settle before the official scorekeepers. Like if you play fantasy hockey, there'll be a change like 3 weeks later, and they'll be like, Cole Caulfield actually had 3 shots.
Yeah.
17 games ago. You get that, but
here's the thing. Why do you have to watch the game after? You could go, if you have a question, just go to the replay. There's always some sort of replay, or you can hit the rewind button just to make sure in the live moment and make the correction. Not make the correction after the game or in the third period. Like, give me a break. It's a joke.
Yeah, it's soured a lot of people in the market for sure. And I mean, different places score differently. We knew how well Florida scorekeeper, how generous they were last year. That kind of changed. Like they took off. You couldn't SGP player shot overs in Florida last year because they were so generous. And then you go to somewhere like I believe Vancouver this year, that like we saw the Edmonton Vancouver series. There was like 22 shots apiece per team. There weren't a lot of shots getting recorded. There was a lot getting taken off. So that's where we are on that, just letting some steam out under that. And it is tough. But at the end of the day, if you're betting into those markets, that's a variance that you have to live and die with because that's eventually how it's graded. So yeah, it is. And it runs off to saves too. Exactly like obviously the shot takes off. It's for the saves. And don't get me started on shots that aren't going to the net, but the goalie stops it and they subjectively call it. Yeah. Sergei Bobrovsky freezes the puck missed net or something like that because it was like high and he catches it with his blocker or something.
Doesn't matter. He makes a save.
I know. That's the way it is. But that's what we got. Let's do a full recap here for everybody there. If you haven't already, got plenty of eyes today. As usual, appreciate everybody in the chat. Hit that like button if you haven't already. Race to 4 goals. New favorite market. Let's go. Neither. -115. That hopefully will stay at that price, but I don't think it will. And then the under point train here. Reinhardt under 0.5 points +140. Defensive responsibilities pretty high for that line. Panarin, no assists, even money. He's shooting more. Don't expect him to score more than 2 goals, and he's going to feel like he's got to do some so he can score, but no apples for him. And then Fox is, as Carlo was looking through the game log, he's like, this isn't Cale Makar. Like this isn't anywhere near that. This isn't Evan Bouchard, and obviously
this is Ilya Labushkin stats.
It really is, and I apologize, but I know Craig Button's a fan of yours, and you're a fan of Craig Button's, but Evan Bouchard is not the front runner for the Conn Smythe right now,
right? And did you see when we threw the Draisaitl at him? It kind of caught him off guard a little bit. It's like, If Edmonton's winning the Stanley Cup, it's gonna be Draisaitl or McDavid. That's the concept.
No, he's
and this isn't a takeaway from Bouchard. He's been a beast. He's been 100%. An absolute beast.
But don't need a hot take on Bouchard.
Remember I said you yesterday we were talking about Edmonton props. I go Draisaitl point. The guy's gotten a point in every game of the playoffs. It's too priced out. I get it.
You're priced out. It's a tough spot. And no, but the draft will be coming. The boys, I'll be holding the boys this year a little more to the fire about how well they did in the draft now that I'm tracking their draft success, because it's easy to throw names out there and as a handicapper, to have your record out there. It's so easy to be like, yeah, here, and no one really holds your record to account. But I'll be holding boys like Craig Button accountable for picking guys, because I mean it's a hard job, and you'll be in it this year too, right? Right? You're doing the draft.
No, I'm not doing the draft. I did the CHL playoffs. I got to know some of the highly touted prospects. All I'm going to say is this.
It's a crapshoot.
If you're a team in the top 5 and you have a chance to select Sam Dickinson as a defenseman or Tej Aginla as a forward and you don't, you've missed out.
Boom. Like it.
Because those guys are top 5 talents to me.
Yeah, it's on Aginla. Yeah, Aginla's will go for sure just because of
He's going to go, but I mean, probably in the top 10. But if I was Montreal at 5, he's the guy I'd be taking.
All right. Appreciate it. Those are the plays. Stick around before you bet. Joe Osborne, 12 o'clock noon, high noon there. We're going to wrap things up here. Those are the plays. Appreciate producer Mick. Appreciate Carlo. Appreciate everybody there in the chat. NHL Puck Prop presented by Sports Interaction. Have a great weekend, everybody. Back Wednesday. More hockey. Let's go.
Let's go. Happy weekend. Ciao.